Welcome to Wesno's Tech News and Reviews. Today we'll be doing a full and comprehensive review of the Amazfit GTR 2. We have done an initial impressions review as soon as the delivery man left the package with this beast at the door. But now, with 5 days of wearing the watch, of sleeping with it, exercising with it, I have a much better appreciation of this watch. There's a speaker, there's a microphone for voice commands and taking calls right off the wrist. There's 3 GB for music downloads, there's even an SpO2 monitor, and finally, there's tons and tons of sport modes. If you are new to Wesno's Tech News and Reviews, we talk about the latest tech news. We do brutally honest reviews and share hacks and tricks along the way. Let me ask you a question. How do you tell if a product is premium or not? You know what I mean, right? There's a special kind of premium air around that product. Well, a smartwatch in our case. Now, when I first opened the outer box, pulled out the velvety inner box, I got a feeling that this will be something special. Once I lifted the lid and looked at the actual watch, I knew that this is a premium product. If we talk about premium, I also had a very similar feeling when I was holding the Samsung Galaxy Watch Active or the Huawei GT2. Now, why is that? Why do we get that feeling? Well, I was actually thinking about this, and I have actually come up with a list of cues that make a smartwatch premium in my mind. Let's go through some of them. The weight has to be right. You don't want a paperweight, but you also don't want the plasticky and tacky light feel. Don't get me wrong, it's light, but it's not too light. I hope that makes sense. So, tick here. Then there is the face. The part of the watch that blinds you every time you look down on it. The watch face is the part you'll be looking at most. And if you don't want to look away, then that's the right watch for you. What draws us, consumers? The appeal of smooth edges, clean facets, wholesome and solid. Well, the Amazfit GTR 2 does that for you. So another tick goes here. A smartwatch is not just a stylish accessory, nor is it just a tool watch that throws stats and values at you. It has to be pleasant and enjoyable to use. I will go out on a whim and call it user retention, if I may. What I mean is, you want to engage with the watch over and over. This can only be achieved if the watch has a velvety, smooth UI, if the colors are bright, crisp, yet deep and rich. But that's not all. You also need a playground that allows you to keep on exploring the watch's options. Can the Amazfit GTR 2 do it? Yes, it can. So another tick goes there. So is it premium? In my view, yes. I think now is a great time to actually discuss this smartwatch in detail. So as per usual, we're going to kick off with the design, then we're going to get into the display, and then we'll talk about the features and functions. We can see the aluminium finish on the watch case. The watch back though does look like it's plastic. Also note the quick release straps, but also make note that they are 22mm silicone straps. Because the watch face is rather large, the thicker than 20mm just makes the watch look a bit more balanced. The watch is fully touch activated, but there are 2 buttons on the right for additional efficiency. The top right is the power button, while the bottom one can be programmed to take you to a screen you require quick access to. The design is both classy and classic. The watch face is round with dimensions of 46.4 by 46.4 millimeters. The glass face is bezel-less, considering the watch case is also quite thin at just 10.7 millimeters. It lies comfortably on your wrist and isn't likely to chafe your long sleeve shirts or a jacket. Now let's take a look at the display. And there are surprises here, and it's not just in the specs that Amazfit has given us. The type of displays Huami has put on the GTR and GTS range, you would actually expect to find on much more expensive watches. You get a crisp 1.39-inch AMOLED 454 by 454 pixel resolution display. That's 326 ppi, by the way. There's no bezel to limit the display surface, as it stretches all the way to the watch case. The colors are great, and there's some really beautiful watch faces available in the Zepp app. And preempting the question, yes, both iOS and Android functionality is now same in regards to faces. In fact, there are now 5 faces that allow for your own uploads to the watch face. All you need to do is go to the Zepp app. There are 5 custom background faces. Choose a style you like, select a photo from your album, or make a photo and it syncs to your watch. On top of the cool faces, you also get always on display and auto brightness. Ladies and gentlemen, the Amazfit GTR 2 is premium. It's got a lot of innovative and advanced features that I absolutely want to share with you. And we're gonna do that right now. But of course, I do not want to focus on the more simple and core functionalities like alarm clocks, widgets like weather, timer, stopwatch. No, let's talk about the really cool, the really premium functionality of the Amazfit GTR 2. I would actually like to start off with the sports and activities functionality, because if you recall, in the previous version or the first version of the GTR and GTS, you did have those limitations in sport mode. So for example, activities like martial arts, tennis, basketball, they would be non-trackable unless you used a generic sport mode such as freestyle. Another annoyance was that there was no actual storage allocated for music or other audio. To be fair, that version did have dual GPS, but really, would you be going out for a long run or cycle with just your watch on without it being connected to the phone if you don't have any music on your watch? Probably not. The GTR 2 has actually made huge progress here. The GTR 2 has actually learned on its mistakes and shortcomings and has improved drastically. It now brings 90 sport modes. Now you get 12 modes on the favorite screen, and you can add more by choosing from all these categories like outdoor sports, combat sports, and with these categories you have plenty more like Tai Chi, karate, fencing, etc. Another major positive here is that the watch features a barometric altimeter, not the gimmicky GPS altimeter. What this does is now when you're going up and down a set of stairs, it will be recorded on the watch. In addition to that, you get 3 GB allocated storage. Now some would be eaten by system files, but for the most part around 2 GB is left over for music and other audio media downloads. With sports out of the way, let's talk about the health and well-being new features or additions to the prior model. Of course, we do get Pi here, and as we all know, it's a metric that represents your cardiovascular health in a single value. Your goal is to keep the Pi number over 100. The metric remains, albeit the screens are now much more colorful and ambient. The widget is also much more informative, with the day's heart rate plotted to show periods of intense activities or lack of those. Follow to the screen below and you will see the intensity distribution map. For more information, just click on I for the more detail. The new version also gets a stress monitor, and once again the attention to detail is astounding. The colors are deep and rich, the color grading, shading and the graphic contours scream premium. Here you have an option to choose automatic stress testing, and it will plot your measurements over the last 7 days right here. Then of course we got the SpO2 monitor, aka blood oxygen saturation monitor. Unfortunately, it's on demand only, and there is no continuous tracking, say during the night or during an exercise, to identify threats of chronic or immediate respiratory conditions. And now let's look at some of the cool tricks that Amazfit GTR 2 brings straight to your watch. So we know that the watch has a speaker and a microphone. With the speaker it's easy. You can hear alerts, music, the person on the other line. You can actually take calls off the watch face with the GTR 2. Don't get me wrong, you still need to be connected to your phone via Bluetooth, but at least you don't have to pull it out if you don't want to. What's the mic for? Well, either to speak to a mom on the phone or to give voice commands to your watch. Let's try some right now. So in the Zepp app, go to device screen, and right down the bottom you will see offline audio command words. The screen doesn't just move up and down. Here the screen moves in a fluid motion. Take the home screen as an example. Amazfit have stepped away from the merry-go-round approach where you could swipe left or right and get into the same screen, and swipe away until you get to the screen you actually need. So here what you can do is swipe left for intelligence, for the likes of your Pi, daily activity summary, daily heart rate plot, weather and music. You can actually adjust the screen you want to see from the settings on the watch face. Go to user preferences, quick access and make your choices. Where were we? Aha! Swipe left for intelligence or swipe right for convenience. What do we mean by that? Essentially, it's a shortcut cuts function. You only need to swipe to the right to view information such as weather, events, countdowns, background programs and news, and common application information, which greatly improves efficiency. You don't need to scroll through stuff you don't need at that particular time. The striking attention to detail on this smartwatch is absolutely great. So who is this watch for? Well, let me ask you, do you like intelligent smarts? Not the ones that are just there, but the ones that are actually useful. Do you like a product on your wrist to feel premium, to be premium? Do you want a smartwatch that is fun to use? Do you want a smartwatch that you want to look at and keep on looking at it because you love the way it looks, you love the way it presents the information? And the fact is, you love just opening it up and playing around in the options. You want to have a look at the different widgets. You actually want to look at the stats because they look cool, they look interesting, they look inciting. Of course, you also want a watch that will give you your metrics, your stats, in such a way that they're easily understandable, but of course you want them to be accurate as well. And you want quite a few of the metrics and stats. You want your heart rate, you want your SpO2, you want your stress monitoring. Well, this watch can do it for you. And if you are an avid sports enthusiast and you love your runs, your jogs, your cycling, what if you do your open water swimming? You need inbuilt GPS. You've got that. You don't want to take your smartwatch with you on your runs or cycles. That's fine. You can do that. It's got inbuilt GPS as well as 3 GB of allocated storage for music. It looks great. It's a great performer. It's got a long battery life. What else do you need? So for the price it's going at, and we're talking $180, I don't know of any other smartwatch on the market that offers as much for that price.